Last night, Joe Biden gave his farewell address, and much of the reaction to it has been scathing, particularly from right-wing media. You're not going to be surprised to find out that. But there were a few parts of the address that I thought were worthy of discussion. So we're going to jump into the first.
We need to get dark money. That's that hidden funding behind too many campaigns contributions. We need to get it out of our politics. We need to enact an 18-year term limit, time and term, for the strongest ethics reforms for our Supreme Court. We need to ban members of Congress from trading stock while they're in the Congress. We need to amend the Constitution to make clear that no president is immune from crimes that he or she commits while in office. The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute.
Okay, and so we're gonna focus on the substance. We do have to mention that in that address, even though it was just 17 minutes, you see a lot of what we've come to expect from Biden's ability to communicate. He had difficulty. It was obviously very low energy, but also difficulty in getting across some of the points, getting a little bit tripped up, perhaps over the teleprompter. At this point, it doesn't seem super important, at least to me. He's not gonna be president in 4 days, but I have no doubt that the Five is going to talk for a straight hour about it, and they're gonna get a lot of pleasure out of it. But anyway, the actual substance, what he pushed for, getting dark money out of politics, term limits for those on SCOTUS, making sure that the president is a president and not a king, are all things that I agree with and have been advocating for. And some of it is stuff that Biden did technically push for as president. He did talk about SCOTUS in the latter half of his term. He's talked a little bit about campaign finance. For me though, it does kind of take away from like the power, the gravitas of the words, that he's saying these are things that are crucial and that they should be priorities for us. But I don't know that I can say that it really feels like they've been crucial priorities for him through his career, even just over the last decade or so, when he was president, when he was vice president. I do think those are important things, but they're not just things that we should focus on and think about when the Republicans are in power. They're things that should be pushed for when the Democrats have windows to do it. And it just never really feels like that's the priority, at least when centrist Democrats are in charge. And so we're gonna get into a little bit more of what Biden had to say, but Brian, I'm curious, I don't know a lot about what you're thinking during these waning days of the Biden presidency, how interested you are in critiquing a guy that, in a couple days isn't gonna be president.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
But what do you make of his address?
Well, I added to the list of ironies. He's calling for things, ironically, that his establishment or his candidate or his presidency represents, establishment politics that never did any of that reform. And ironically, the people who voted for Donald Trump are looking for them and his appointees to be the innovators, the streamlining, the drainers of the metaphoric swamp. And it's the opposite. You're seeing money pour into the new DC establishment.
Yeah.
And the people, I think, who ironically voted for Trump because they thought a young, new, innovative sort of like legion of people would come in and clean things up and get rid of government waste and make it smaller and make it more efficient. Old tenets of republicanism are going to basically get this just an oligarchy, which I hate to parrot in what the mainstream press has been writing about, but I just find it just so as one more irony in this whole transition. I wish, you're right, John, I wish Biden and at least the team that he had built would have been a reformist party in the opportunity that they had, but it felt just kind of like the same. There's still so much dark money in politics, and it's only going to get darker now that tech has become a tentpole of our democracy and our institutions in Washington. And who knows how big that's going to grow.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. We've been talking throughout the week about the CEOs going to Mar-a-Lago to bow down to Trump, and the amount that he's been raising, over $200 million for his party that's gonna happen next week, $200 million. They expect they're gonna raise $500 million by next summer for a guy who literally can't run for president again. It's just stupid money is all it is. It's not even for anything. It's just that they know they have to give it. And he wants it because his entire life has been based on knowing that he wants more money than he has right now. And it's just, like you said, it's like they come in and they're like, we want to drain the swamp. And you don't need to drain it. It's full of money at this point. It's literally, you could walk across the swamp just on greenbacks from one end to the other.